talking to three of you. So, Gentle Babies. This book I've used, well, the first year of me being oily, I used more than my pocket reference, just because when I was looking stuff up, it was usually for Eli or Juliana. I signed up with Young Living about a month before Juliana was born. And so I used oils the last couple weeks of my pregnancy. I put some on when I was in labor before going to the hospital. And so Juliana's been oily since day one, and Eli was about 2.5, a little bit older than 2.5 when I signed up with Young Living. And so that's kind of my background with using oils for pregnancy, childbirth, and it helped with nursing and other stuff, and we'll get into that later. But I'm going to go back and forth between quotes from the book Gentle Babies and stuff that I learned from the presentation that you can get a DVD of Deborah Rayburn actually teaching a Gentle Babies class. So the way I wanted to start this out is from the introduction in Gentle Babies. Deborah quotes 2 Timothy chapter 1, verses 6 through 7, which reads, "Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee to put on of my hands. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." The Greek word used in the passage for fear is deilia, meaning timidity, and the root is delios, which is defined as fearlessness. This fear is not external, but an internal struggle. According to D. Gary Young, who's the founder of Young Living, he says, "Fear is a false emotion appearing real." And so use the oils recommended in this book full of faith without timidity. Thousands of mothers already have. And I think that that's so key because the questions I get from people, they're scared to use the oils on their babies. You know, new moms are always so cautious with what they do with their, newborns. And one thing that I have learned from Carrie Shepard and her daughters that have used oils throughout their pregnancies and on their babies is really you can use any oil on a child or when you're pregnant, especially when it's Young Living. And so that has always brought me comfort. And another thing is I've always let the kids pick out what oils they need. There's something about children where they just know what their body needs. And so, there's been plenty of times where Juliana is about to have a tantrum. I'm like, "Okay, Jules, you need to go pick out an oil," and she'll go grab one, and it's a calming oil, which she needed. And so that I think is so cool. And I've seen it with other kids too, where Eli, that's not compliant, whatever. Eli got a sunburn, and he was really craving lavender oil to help just, calm down that feeling, and just things like that they know what they need. And so, the next part is the best choice. Obviously, we all use Young Living, so we don't need to talk about that. But on some of the Young Living products, it says to not use on children under a certain age. And that's not because they're dangerous for someone under that age. It just is a legal warning that Young Living has to put on their products per the request of the FDA. So it's like the same thing with the Vitality line. In order to stay compliant with the FDA, they have to label it a certain way. And then Deborah goes on in her book on page 10 with a couple of testimonials of using oils in pregnancy. And this one testimonial reads, "Our youngest daughter used the Young Living essential oils and supplements throughout her 2 pregnancies. She used them for nausea and to prevent stretch marks, from which she, a petite redhead, has none after 2 children. She used the supplements to keep her body functioning properly while giving good nutrition to her baby. She used them at the time of labor with great success. She used them at the time of birth, anointing the babies with frankincense right away and using myrrh on the umbilical cords for protection from infections, as well as helping with the healing. She incorporated the oils Deborah mentions in this book, plus others of her choice as she felt inspired to use them. Another question that I get all the time is, are there any essential oils that you should avoid using during pregnancy? And oils, when used properly, will not have a negative result in any way. And what a lot of people don't know is that it takes a half an ounce to an ounce of essential oil to see negative effects to begin in children and fetuses, which is like a 15 ml bottle is a half an ounce. So you would need a child to drink a whole bottle, big bottle of oil, to maybe have a negative side effect. But there are some women who like to stay away from certain oils, and the list that Deborah Rayburn gives is basil, birch, calamus, cassia, cinnamon, hyssop, Idaho tansy, lavender, rosemary, sage, and tarragon. But you do not need to avoid blends that include those oils, because the chemical makeup of the oil changes when you mix one oil with another. And so a blend of like purification has lavender in it, but it's, would be safe to use. And then to go along with the usage, there's a lot of aromatherapy books, and they vary widely in what it says is okay during pregnancy and using essential oils. And so just to explain that more, it's usually because the different versions of aromatherapy are based off of one of three models, and Young Living actually combines all three models in the way that we use our oils, and it's recommended in like our pocket reference or a desk reference. And those models are German, French, and British. The German model emphasizes inhaling oils and always extremely diluting our essential oils. The French model recommends diluting oils but concentrates more on massage benefits. And then the French model uses both of those models as well as oral ingestion of therapeutic grade A essential oils. I know a lot of people get hesitant about ingesting essential oils. There was actually a study done in 1998 by Daniel Pignol, I think that's how you say his last name, and it's called Natural Home Health Cure Using Essential Oils. And what the study showed is that there's benefits, showed taking specific essential oils into the body was not only safe but very effective when other modes of using essential oils were not. And so as we're reading through our references that we're encouraged to from Young Living, we see that Gary has combined the best of each model to bring us a unique way of using essential oils, plus new innovative techniques, empowering people worldwide to take charge of their health and wellness. And like one of those techniques is the raindrop technique. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how all of the recipes and information found in the Gentle Babies book have been used on thousands of mothers and their babies and children without ill effects. So I know some people worry about that a little bit. But Deborah tested it on, I think it was 1,000 women is what I read somewhere, before she even would put it in her book and to get their feedback. And then I also like the next few pages 14 and 15, talk about precautions when using essential oils. And page 16 is one of my favorites because it's when to seek medical attention. Because I think in the oily community, we're not always sure when is it time to go to a medical professional for an issue versus just staying home and using the oils. And so she goes over that. And let's see, where are we? Oh, yes, I like this. A general guideline when using essential oils is responses should occur relatively quickly. So if nothing happens for a while after applying an oil, try another oil in a similar that works in a similar fashion, because we as human beings are all biologically different from each other, and so we'll respond differently to natural products. And it's also not the amount of essential oil that we use or apply to ourselves, but the frequency of that oil that creates the powerful results. And one thing that Deborah stresses in her book, I really like this analogy. A treadmill will not help someone lose weight if it's not used daily. Neither may a person experience the full benefits of essential oils without regular use. And so, we need to use our oils daily if we expect for when we might be dipping below the wellness line to help support our bodies and our systems go back above the wellness line. And when we're what to look for in oils. If an oil is not labeled as grass, which is generally regarded as safe, it does not mean that you cannot take that oil internally. It just means that the government has not listed that product as being food service qualified, meaning it's not used in food preparation where you would take it internally. And that's something that she talks about in her presentation. And she also says, as you will see, how you use the oils is just as important as how you go about picking which oil you're going to use. And then just going into the basics of usage, she talks about inhalation, diffusing, and topical in her book, which we all know about. But there was a quote from her book that talked about what, for inhaling, some things that inhaling oils are really helpful for. And that includes headaches, nervous conditions, anxiety, restlessness, energy, stamina, concentration, cardiovascular challenges, and respiratory conditions. In fact, aromatherapy is the science of smell and how it affects the body, mind, and spirit. Please know that smelling through inhaling, diffusing, and topical application may bring up old memories, some good, some not so good. This is a great time to deal with those negative emotions that may prevent an individual from achieving his or her highest potential by forgetting the past and moving forward. And then under diffusing, she just talks about why you don't put essential oils directly into a humidifier. And her recommendation is if you have a humidifier going and you want to send, the essential oil molecules throughout the room, to place oils on like a pad or something and place it in front of where the air is coming out instead of inside of the humidifier, because it can, degrade the humidifier and you're having the petrochemicals then go through the air, which we don't want. And then topically, this is a question I get asked a lot, is it okay to use oils neat on my kid or my baby, and how much do I dilute them? It's recommended to dilute oils for application to small children and babies until you know their skin sensitivity. With Juliana, I just followed the recommendation on whatever bottle of oil I was using. One of the oils I used a lot on her when she was first born was Egyptian gold, because she scanned for it. I was crazy, and like a month after I had her, I was like, Sean, there's this thing called a Zyto scanner, and there's a person that owns one in Grand Rapids, and I've talked to her, and she'll scan us, and so we're all going up there right now. And so she had a scan. Juliana had a scan when she was only 1 month old, and it talked about the dilution rate, and so I diluted the oil and then put it on her feet, because that's where the biggest pores are to absorb the oils, and also that's the least sensitive area on your body, and so that's where they recommend to put oils on babies, is on their feet. Another thing that is recommended is to perform a skin patch test on your forearm to see if you are sensitive to an essential oil, so you'll know whether or not you need to dilute it. And it's also recommended for moms to put the oil on themselves first before applying to their child, especially if it's an oil that's new in your home, because you might not know, if it has an intense feeling, as they like to say, because some of them are really cooling and some are really warm, and so you just don't know. And also, okay, I'll read this next part and then bring up that point. If an essential oil is applied topically and the skin begins to turn red, itchy, or hot, add olive oil or V6 oil until there is relief. Nothing is wrong. The oil just brought blood to the skin surface quickly, which I didn't know that that's what caused the redness and itchiness until I read through the book to do this class. And so this also may occur to those who have a habit of using chemical cleansers and soaps, cosmetics, lotions, and such with synthetic ingredients which penetrate the dermal layers of the skin. Another thing, if your child has an occasional cold or the occasional flu and you're using oils on them, I know Susan Cathcart, one of her kids, had a reaction where lavender felt hot on him. And we all know that lavender is not a hot oil, but his body needed that oil to detoxify whatever thing his body was fighting. And so it was literally burning. And so sometimes when we're sick and we put oils on ourselves or on our kids, our bodies will react differently because there's a lot more things that the body's trying to get rid of, if that makes sense. Another way with using essential oils is using them in cyst baths, which I did this after I had Juliana. I tore in both of my deliveries with Eli and Jules, and I tore to the same degree both times. With Eli, I wasn't oily, and actually I was really sick. I had gallstones and a bad infection and other stuff after I had him, but even 2 months after he was born, I still wasn't healed all the way from tearing. With Juliana, I did frankincense and lavender and purification once a day. I alternated which oils I used in my cyst baths, and I was completely healed by my 6-week appointment. So I'm a huge believer of using essential oils to help heal everything down there after having a baby. But what Deborah recommends for cyst baths is to combine 3 to 4 drops of essential oil and 1 tablespoon of olive oil and adding that to the bath water, which I never really heard of adding a carrier oil with essential oils in the bath. But, so yeah, that was one thing that I learned. And then the next thing that they go on to talk about in the book, starting on page 23, is infant massage. And it talks about the benefits of infant massage and how cross-cultural studies show that babies who are held, massaged, carried, rocked, and breastfed grow into adults that are less aggressive and violent and more compassionate and cooperative. And when you're giving an infant massage, they say to massage in the direct, to end your strokes towards the heart. I don't know why that is, but it was listed in her book. And you can also do a modified raindrop on infants, but the giver, the person who's performing the raindrop, should be proficient with general baby massage with oils before attempting a raindrop. And what most moms have found is that giving the baby a regular massage and then applying diluted raindrop oils to the baby's feet provides the desired results from a raindrop. And then going on to internal usage, Deborah said in her book to keep ingestion to the recommendation or only 3 to 4 drops of oil per day when you're pregnant or breastfeeding. I don't know why that is. So I'd never heard about a limit of internal usage for oil. But that was in her book, so I'm passing that along to you guys. And then in the event of loss of pregnancy, essential oils such as Trauma Life may be useful for the emotional aspect of losing a child. And in preventing miscarriages, something as simple as adding progesterone could be helpful. So Progestins Plus to help stay pregnant is something that could be beneficial, especially if you're a woman who can get pregnant, but the issue that you have with fertility is staying pregnant. Progesterone helps. I have a hand motion going. It helps the baby stay implanted in the uterus and form that strong bond, so you're less likely to miscarry. Also, mothers should eat a nutritious diet well before conception and throughout pregnancy. And there's a whole nutritional guide in the book, starting on page 77, that it says to refer to. And Deborah also suggests prior to conception to rid the home of harmful chemicals, which is something I know we all are working on. And with essential oils, they get deep inside of our cells and create deep support for our body, which I know you all know that already. And they can go past the blood-brain barrier, which is why they're so helpful for head injuries or for brain power. And the next part of the book is pages 32 through 76, which is the symptom guide area. And that's the part of the book that I've spent the most time on, because it just talks about any sort of thing you would want to look at. Milk supply, colicky baby. There was one thing that I saw when I was looking through, which is a formula enhancement, which I don't know if many of you know, but formula actually is really harmful to your gut health. And so there was a formula enhancement to help keep a healthy gut for your child to drink. I think it was 1 or 2 times a day, and she had a little recipe in there that I thought was really cool. And she lists everything in the symptom guide area may be common during a normal pregnancy and childbirth, and certain more serious concerns are not included in the book, as they always require professional medical care and intervention. And typically, children up to the age of 5 will respond very well with the information for babies, but there is a separate listing in that symptom guide area for child, which includes applications that are for children over 1 year, and they may respond quicker to that than just for baby. And as children grow, it's more effective to dilute essential oils less and apply them more often. And Deborah also put in a little reminder that if a mother selects one essential oil, she should apply the oil, the first oil as directed, and then wait 10 minutes. And if the desired results are not achieved, then apply the second suggestion. And mothers will no doubt have their favorite and should highlight them for future reference. And then after that, it talks about the nutritional guide, which in general opt for more homemade meals with the abundance of raw fruits and veggies, whole grains, nuts, seeds, sprouts, and quality protein. Some moms, especially as the pregnancy progresses, will find that eating smaller meals more often is a better choice. And under the nutritional guide, it's recommended for pregnant women to take a multivitamin every day, and she recommends either taking True Source or the Complete Core supplements. And then she also recommends that mothers have a green drink or a green smoothie every day to include extra vegetables for added nutrition. And then there's the next couple pages after that just break up into different sections, And I mean, it's stuff that we all know about eating healthy fats and decreasing your sugars and trying to have raw or lightly steamed veggies and stuff like that. And then she has a really good green smoothie recipe in there as well. And then after that, she talks about birthing kits and what she would have in oils to have available, like for the end of your pregnancy when you're, in labor and giving birth and afterwards. And those oils are Joy, Peace and Calming, Lavender, Panaway, Lemon, Purification, Valor, Gentle Baby, Clary Sage, Fennel, and Clariderm Spray. So that's for the basic kit. And then there's the expanded kit, which is the basic kit plus Trauma Life and Myrrh. And the comprehensive kit includes all of those plus frankincense and rose. So those are the oils that she would recommend to have when you're, birthing. And then she also talks about the Dr. Mom's Wellness Chest. And in the book it says the everyday oils, which has changed since her book was written. But she recommends lavender, peppermint, lemon, frankincense, thieves, Panaway, Peace and Calming, Valor, Purification, Joy, Melrose, RC, Raven, and Digest. So, yeah, and then it follows the testimonials, and there's the index in the back, which I totally love. And when talking about our medicine cabinet, she just said that this is more of a natural option and that you can choose the oils and products that are good for you. And she said, let's equip ourselves with more than the everyday oils collection. Let's equip ourselves to be the Dr. Mom in our own house. So, yeah, I could go more in depth, but that's a little taking my hour-and-a-half class and cutting it down to 20 minutes. Mhm. Yeah, that's usually what I say, is that for kids 5 and under, and then it's helpful for moms who are, pregnant or breastfeeding. Oh, and one thing that's not listed in the book is, for some reason, I went through a period where I got a clogged milk duct, multiple times a week for a month. And I tried the oils that were listed in her book, and they didn't work for me. But putting lavender oil on and just massaging while pumping or taking a detox bath with lavender oil in the water helped me unclog that. And I know that was really helpful in the Shepherd's Gate Oily Babies group for a lot of women. So I wanted to put that out there as well. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Okay. Okay.